I did want to mention one thing. Brian mentioned in the intro, but if you want to talk about, I have not felt more on a limb about anything than putting a financial manager in Detroit. And partly that was very painful, as you know, because this ended up changing. But in the very beginning, the people who did not want that to happen just went painfully at me about, he must be a racist. And that was tough. That was a tough couple of months. It's turned totally, because the leaders there know that something dramatic needed to be done. And that community has ended up, I don't know if you see much of it on this side of the state, but a guy named Robert Bob we put in, he's doing an excellent job. It's not a long-term solution, but it's one to make some quick decisions that need to be made that's hard to make with the board if you can't get enough votes. So I would just say that was, I started to get off on some other ones like the high school requirements, but that was the one maybe that I had to suck up the most in my, take a deep breath and say this could really be trouble. And I want to tell you the one thing that a lot of African American leaders in Detroit had told me, and I didn't recognize it at the time, so I'm sharing it with you just in case you have a related type issue, is they said the single thing you did that made this work more than anything else, which surprised me, was you suddenly showed up at the Detroit board meeting after you announced it. And I actually was going to the airport and instead said, you know what, something's not right here. And I kept driving to Detroit. I ended up at their board meeting. It was very uncomfortable in a way because they were very upset. But I think what it did was show that I'm respecting them as a board, because I do, by the way. I think 3 of them are outstanding people. They just couldn't get the votes to do what they needed to get done. But I just mentioned that in passing. I meant to put that in earlier. I think sometimes it's a matter of showing respect, not as if you're some Lansing person who is above others and therefore you don't have to put yourself on the line. And even though they're very cordial, the folks there were cordial, I think they knew that I didn't know that's the way it would turn out, so it helped that transition. But here's the thing I want to add. To me, leadership, especially for the fellows here, and attitude's a big chunk of everything. So I thought I'd show this very briefly and then just finish with one comment.
I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world.
That's okay.
I am part of a lost generation, and I refuse to believe that I can change the world. I realize this may be a shock, but happiness comes from within is a lie, and money will make me happy. So in 30 years, I will tell my children they are not the most important thing in my life. My employer will know that I have my priorities straight because work is more important than family. I tell you this, once upon a time, families stayed together. But this will not be true in my era. This is a quick fix society. Experts tell me 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. I do not concede that I will live in a country of my own making. In the future, environmental destruction will be the norm. No longer can it be said that my peers and I care about this earth. It will be evident that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It is foolish to presume that there is hope. And all of this will come true unless we choose to reverse it. There is hope. It is foolish to presume that my generation is apathetic and lethargic. It will be evident that my peers and I care about this earth. No longer can it be said that environmental destruction will be the norm. In the future, I will live in a country of my own making. I do not concede that 30 years from now, I will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of my divorce. Experts tell me this is a quick fix society, but this will not be true in my era. Families stayed together once upon a time. I tell you this, family is more important than work. I have my priorities straight because my employer will know that they are not the most important thing in my life. So in 30 years, I will tell my children, money will make me happy is a lie, and true happiness comes from within. I realize this may be a shock, but I can change the world, and I refuse to believe that I am part of a lost generation.
So for you current and future leaders, you can change the world. It's based on if you see it this reverse way, which I hope you can. It's really been an honor to be invited today. It's a pleasure to be with you.